he's claiming they're the furthest along. But I always say I'm waiting for the company that's in AI that isn't claiming they're the furthest along. Okay,
I mean, 2% growth across the entire business is not what people expect out of this company.
Objectively, we weren't that excited about the results, and some of the near-term commentary left us, less than nourished.
But why is the stock not down? Because simply this is a stock that is disconnected from fundamentals.
He's made his investors so much money over the years. How can he not deserve the benefit of the doubt?
All that and more. So let's get to it. Tesla stock is down in the pre-market, currently sitting at about $400 per share. Isn't that what I said yesterday? You would think that after this pivotal earnings call, that TSLA would be up or down in a really big way. And if you let some of these analysts on these legacy media platforms tell it, Tesla should probably be trading back down in the 200s. Let me show you what I mean.
Well, Tesla shares are up in pre-market trading. That's after the CEO, Elon Musk, announced plans to begin robotaxi operations in June and has forecast a, quote, epic period of growth.
Let's start out with your reaction first up to its results. It reported earnings on an adjusted basis, 73 cents a share, revenue $25.7 billion. Both numbers were actually weaker than expected. You initially saw this knee-jerk response. The stock fell under pressure, but now it's up in the pre-market. So what's your take on its results, Carl?
Yeah, I think the fundamentals of the company are really based still in car sales. And your earlier segment was talking about how that's got to get either addressed or replaced by something else. And you've just got a lot of challenge from more competitors than ever before in the electric vehicle space. And the big threat, as always, is China. They're coming in with reduced costs and increasingly impressive product. And they're absorbing global market share from every other EV company, including Tesla. And I think that's why Tesla needs to move from a car company to a technology company like it's always wanted to be. And that's why there was all this discussion about the next level of future elements for Tesla. Always got a lot of future incredible stories to tell. And I think we know that he's got to get something beyond the car market, like we were saying, to really work. And the full self-driving thing, that is so heavily based on the AI that he's got to master. And he's claiming they're the furthest along. But I always say I'm waiting for the company that's in AI that isn't claiming they're the furthest along. Okay, they're all leading the market according to their own statements. If he can get full self-driving revenue started this year in places like Austin and California and have no issues, and he also has the regulatory help potentially from his friendship with Trump, then he could maybe get ahead of some of these other companies that have been doing it for a while. But Waymo, there's a lot of other companies that have been into this for much longer than he has, and he's got a lot of catching up to do if he really wants to make this his primary business.
Hearing a lot of uncertainty, doubt.
It's just when you look at the Tesla fundamentals and the credit outlook, how does it fare?
So look, from the S&P ratings view, the global auto sector profit margins, we weren't expecting them to recover to the strong levels we saw in 21 and 22 for the foreseeable future, right? And Tesla is no exception. We expected growth and margins to be under pressure in 25 and 26. So yes, growth and margins will slow down relative to recent years, and we've seen that in 24. But the silver lining is that it is still going to be higher versus the rest of the industry. And that's why we're maintaining the stable outlook.
A beacon amidst a struggling industry. But I got news for you. This ain't your daddy's automaker. Tesla is an AI robotics company masquerading as an automaker. Of course they're doing better than the rest of the industry. Their product is better.
Is this a make or break year? They've got to make some big moves. What are some of the expectations? That must happen for Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla's gone right past so many breaks so many times without ever having any makes. It's kind of amazing. The stock rallied, I think, because it's not really trading. Ben Graham's great line, right? In the short term, the stock's a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. This is a stock where revenues are growing 2%. It's trading at 100 times next year's earnings while the numbers are coming down. It's trading at almost better than 13 times sales. This is just a company that is priced for fantastic growth and success and not delivering growth or success.
Sounds to me he's got that trader's mentality with a little bit of fear. Perhaps more clarification?
That's the problem. Well, I mean, you are seeing different things, though. For example, the battery energy department, right? Our guest earlier was talking about over 100% year-over-year growth. So while you did see auto revenue dropping from what used to be 70% or 50%, now, it's down 8% year over year. So things are changing within the Tesla umbrella.
Well, I think that the thing that's changing is the growth isn't happening. I mean, 2% growth across the entire business is not what people expect out of this company. Again, the stock price is not reflecting the failure of the quarter that they just reported. Perhaps it's reflecting the optimism that people really believe that the company is going to start shipping robo-taxis in the first half of a year from now, and that they will somehow be legal on the roads where they want to deploy them into the small cities where the business models tend to work. And that they'll start plant. I don't know what Waymo's already been doing for quite a long time. I think that, or the belief that a low price car will finally show up when the company says it will, even though we know that they miss all their deadlines. Or maybe this is going to be about AI, or maybe it's going to be about robots. But the company is long on promise and always has been. But now we're starting to see it short on delivery.
There it is, the sweet trifecta of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I mean, Tesla's been battling this nonsense since their very inception. You can't make a desirable EV. Alright, you can make a desirable EV, but it costs too much. You can't make one that normal people will buy. Alright, you can make one that normal people will buy, but you won't be able to do it profitably. You're going to go bankrupt, and this will be the end of this EV craze. Next thing you know, the Model Y is the best-selling vehicle in the world, no matter what powertrain you decide to sort by. After this long laundry list of Tesla achieving what others would deem impossible, how can you possibly doubt this man's conviction? His ability to motivate some of the brightest minds in the industry, while everyone continues to doubt and stand by, regardless of the trivial price today, I'm going to continue to buy.
Tesla shares are actually lower right now, reversing some of those earlier gains that we saw with the stock off just about 0.6%. This coming after the company came up a bit short in its earnings call last night and earnings results last night. They missed the street's expectations of both earnings and sales for the fourth quarter. Its automotive revenue falling 8% from a year ago. Tesla blaming lower selling prices across its lineup for that drop. That's why we weren't seeing more of a trade here in terms of the fundamental story when it comes to Tesla. Because after we got these results last night and very much this morning here in earlier action ahead of the bell, we actually saw the stock rising. Now we're seeing a bit of a pullback. How much do fundamentals matter to that stock price reaction that we're getting?
Well, look, on the call, and we agree with him, Elon Musk was incredibly optimistic about the future of autonomy and the future of robotics. All very good generational growth opportunities. However, objectively, we weren't that excited about the results, and some of the near-term commentary left us, less than nourished. I mean, first, they basically didn't commit to their 20 to 30% growth guidance for 2025. They did say they would grow, but that was a number that Elon Musk gave on the previous call. They missed their 2024 delivery guidance, which we knew about a month ago. Their margins were pretty weak. And if we're reading this correctly, the FSD rollout, full self-driving rollout in Europe and China, is not going to happen in the first quarter. So there are a lot of little things that happened during the quarter that weren't great. So obviously a very good outlook for 26, 27, 28. But 25 and the results were kind of squishy.
So, George, what do I make of that if I'm a Tesla investor? I mean, how do I understand at what point the margin story is going to matter again, right? I feel like we've teetered over the last 18 months between, margins are a big problem. Tesla needs to figure out margins. Where's the trough in margins? Felt like we maybe moved past that story last night, maybe not. I mean, how much does it matter over the next couple months? Is it going to matter if this comes up again next quarter in earnings?
Look, we have a couple of catalysts this year that are still out there. Number one, we should get some additional vehicles. The new Model Y, apparently orders are very, very good, and it's a beautiful car. And we also have a fleet of unsupervised full self-driving vehicles coming in Austin in June and potentially other cities in the United States. So there are things to look forward to. But at the end of the day, you need earnings, right? And the earnings growth and the earnings power of Tesla will be dictated by its growth in deliveries in the near term and the margins. And so, look, the margins have been under pressure for a while now because of financing incentives that they've given, price cuts that they've had to put in place because of the increase in interest rates. So we should see that. We believe we'll start to see that really take hold in 26, 27, 28, based on increased scale and increased adoption of full self-driving. But we have to see it, right? This is our expectation, our hope, our estimate. But ultimately, we have to see proof of that. So, we'll have to wait and see how things trend this year.
George, big bull in the space, even he's a little bit hesitant. And rightfully so, don't get me wrong. I wasn't thrilled with all of the numbers that were presented. As upbeat as Elon was, he did say some things that were relatively alarming. But Elon's never been one to beat around the bush. His excitement can seem a bit hyperbolic, but the man reaches for the stars. From what I've gathered, wherever he lands will be higher than everyone else.
And what was the difference between the financial results and what's moving the stock right now?
The print itself was not good, clear miss, and when you back out some Bitcoin gains, it was much worse. The clear area was on gross margins. But why is the stock not down? Because simply this is a stock that is disconnected from fundamentals. With stock trading at 125 times earnings, it tells you that near-term earnings don't matter. What matters is narrative. Right now, this is a supercharged narrative benefiting from both autonomous and their efforts in humanoid robots, AI.
So before we kind of dig in more on that with Deirdre, Dan, typically the street would be a little bit more cautious than to just kind of go, yeah, all sounds good. I mean, there was news from Waymo on this front just this week. The competition is already fierce in this space. So why the excitement?
Look, Tesla has owned the narrative for much of last year, and especially post the election, they've really owned the narrative. That's the only way you can explain why Tesla accumulated some, $500 billion of incremental market cap post election. And so right now, the market is not really challenging any of the things Tesla is saying. I think the market's getting very excited about what Tesla's doing. We think, we'd be a little more cautious on how these things play out, but we understand that the market is feeding off narrative. The big thing you got from Tesla last night was they are starting unsupervised FSD, driverless FSD in Texas in June, and the market's getting excited about that. How it plays out beyond that remains to be seen, but market's getting excited about what they're doing.
Dan Levy over there at Barclays sums it up very nicely. TSLA is divorced from those fundamentals. As long as Tesla and the team are not pushing back deadlines, meeting these goals, shareholders, retail and institutional, will be quite patient with Tesla. Transformation of this company isn't going to happen overnight. But in that same token, no one's going to want to miss out on this generational wealth opportunity.
We've got Elon's bullish target on robotaxis, which he sees on the roads in Austin in just 5 months. Waymo continues to expand testing of its own vehicles. That's owned by Alphabet, of course. Just kind of unpack the latest news for us.
Sure. And let me start with what Dan said. He said, yes, Tesla has owned the narrative, but Elon Musk has also overpromised and under-delivered on robotaxis for years. This year, though, could be the real deal. The self-driving landscape has just evolved so much over the last year, with Waymo leading the way in terms of commercialization. There's also been more regulatory policies that have been established. And as Dan was saying, Tesla's full self-driving, or FSD, that is now being deployed with no safety drivers, albeit on private roads. Musk says that June Austin launch will have that key distinction.
We're going to be launching unsupervised full self-driving as a paid service in Austin in June. So, I've talked with the team. We feel confident in being able to do an initial launch of unsupervised, no one in the car, full self-driving in Austin in June.
Now, again, his word alone, maybe not enough to say that the launch this time is a certainty, but Tesla's FSD technology has made major improvements over the last year. Truist and others noting that FSD V13 requires little to no interventions.
Pretty bleak news cycle. I mean, given the numbers, I guess it's understandable. Yet the stock remains resilient. Now, this is typically where I would get into my end conclusion, but I believe Jim Cramer is saying it best, so I'm going to go ahead and let him take over.
Some of you may be wondering, how the heck could the stock of Tesla actually rally almost 3% today after reporting numbers that were seemingly disappointing? Their core auto business isn't doing that well, but nobody seemed to care. Well, that's because Elon Musk knows what his investors want, and it's not great auto numbers from 2024. They want his vision for the future. Musk's a non-linear thinker with a terrific grasp of showmanship. He knows how to come up with incredible ideas. He knows how to pitch them, and most important, he knows how to execute them. So Tesla's not rallying because of the numbers, which were indeed not that good. It's rallying because of Musk's extraordinary performance on the conference call. I want to distill it into two different buckets, the linear bucket and the non-linear bucket. First bucket, Tesla didn't make enough cars last year. They didn't sell enough cars. You're crazy, though, if you believe that electric cars aren't coming and being bigger and bigger. Why? Because once Musk delivers better cars, newer cars, better technology, they'll start growing again, and he's going to do that this year. So why sell based on last year's numbers? That makes no sense. He's talking about robotaxis coming in a couple of months at Austin, Texas, and it's going to blow you away how much better they are than human taxis. He's made a very compelling argument. You simply can't stop the self-driving cars. They're the future. But that was practically a sideshow compared to my favorite part, the non-linear side of the conference call. And that was all about robots, the Optimus program. I guess his kids like playing with Transformers. Musk's talking about real robots, ones that can do anything we can do physically, but better. The trick is actually manufacture them. Musk laments that manufacturing ain't what it used to be. Too many lawyers and bankers. They should go make things. That's what he wants. He's whined about it. Most of us believe him, and I was both of those things. Still, he says his team can do all the hard manufacturing we need. The idea behind Optimus, the robot program, is simple. You'll have a robot that can do all the boring things that you don't want to do, all the hack work, all the dangerous tasks. As he puts it, quote, we expect to just close the loop with Optimus being used internally at Tesla because we obviously can easily use several 1,000 humanoid robots at Tesla for the most boring, annoying tasks in the factory, like the task nobody wants to do, where we have to beg people to do this task, end quote. He goes on, I love this. It's like the robot is totally happy to do the boring, dangerous, repetitive tasks that no humans want to do. Musk says he'll make 1 million of these things with a cost to manufacture at less than $20,000 per unit. Now, by the way, it's always been something that Jensen Huang has predicted, and it looks like Musk will do it. At the very least, he's made a strong argument that he'll be the one to get it done. Remember, this technology doesn't have to stop at the factory floor. We all have plenty of things we don't want to do. Imagine having a robot to do your chores. Could load the dishwasher. I'm always getting yelled at about the dishwasher because I'm terrible at it. He could be a marriage saver. Only the small-minded regulators can get in his way, especially when talking about robo-taxis and self-driving. But Musk tells us not to worry. The tipping point is almost at hand. It's simple. When we know for a fact that autonomous cars are much safer than humans, something he says will be obvious in a short period of time, then we'll all go autonomous. If any other CEO in America tried to pull off what he did last night, reporting a not-so-hard quarter and then trying to dazzle shareholders with a brilliant vision of the future, they'd all be laughed out of the industry. But Musk has such an incredible track record that when he says this stuff, people believe him, and I don't blame them. I believe him, too. He's made his investors so much money over the years. How can he not deserve the benefit of the doubt? Even if you hate Musk's recent move into politics, you can't deny that he's an incredible moneymaker. Why bet against him when you got Tesla so you can bet with him?
I don't agree with Jim Cramer about everything, but when he's right, motherfucker's right. That's all I've got for you today. Be easy. Peace.